Today we are joined by Matt Vespi, who is the city's finance director and controller. Today I'd like to provide a few updates. First, the county vote today on an accelerated reopening. Second, my updates to the fiscal year 2021 proposed budget. A third, an update on Operation Shelter to Home that's taking place, as we all know, at the Convention Center. And lastly, I'll be highlighting the work that San Diegans continue to do to help us step up. Topic number one, the county vote today on an accelerated reopening. Yesterday, the governor acknowledged counties like San Diego are ready to reopen. And the state finally gave counties realistic metrics to speed up phase two. Today, San Diego put that new authority into action. I want to thank the County of San Diego and the supervisors for approving an accelerated phase two plan for the entire region. It would allow us here in San Diego to take the next big step, which includes in-person dining at restaurants and in-person retail in the near future. It's great news, and it's an approach that has my full support. And it's also, as I announced yesterday, I believe we have the opportunity and the need to go even further. Due to the progress that's being made here locally, we continue, all of us, we continue to flatten the curve. And we want to have the ability to move forward into phase three. So today, the Board of Supervisors also voted on what the next phase of that would look like. The next phase, phase three, would include research. It would also include personal services and hair salons for fitness facilities. Also outdoor religious services. A lot of San Diegans want to know, so what happens next? So here are the next steps. We are asking the state to approve two things. First, our accelerated phase two plan, which again includes things like dining in restaurants, and our phase three proposal, which again includes things like barbershops and salons. We are prepared. Our local businesses are ready to recover and to put these precautions into place. San Diegans want to go back to work, and we will do this with public health in mind, safely and responsibly. Now more than ever, we need that light at the end of the tunnel, and I think today's vote by the County Board of Supervisors helps provide some of that light. San Diegans have been preparing, our small businesses have been preparing. We are ready to go safely back to work and reopen our economy and help all of our San Diego families and all of our employers and employees. Looking forward to the results of this. Topic number two today, updates to the fiscal year 2021 proposed budget. In recent weeks, we've talked a lot about the unfortunate, incredible financial toll that COVID-19 has had on all of us. Every resident and business has been impacted in one way or another, and of course the city of San Diego, our budget is no exception. A couple of months ago, we enjoyed one of the strongest economies that we've ever had. Of course, then the entire world changed. Tourism came to a halt. Businesses closed, obviously. Job losses soared throughout our region. We've never had a couple of months like this economically in San Diego. And so at a time when San Diegans are relying on essential services like our public safety, now more than ever. We've never seen a budget deficit like this before, with revenue losses exceeding $350 million. But even in these difficult times, we continue to make San Diegans the focus of what we should be doing as a city. We are all focused on helping our neighbors weather the storm and keeping San Diego's finances healthy for the long term. Last month, I released my initial budget proposal for fiscal year 2021. We closed the budget with 1/3 ongoing reductions, 1/3 cuts in one-time expenses, and 1/3 in reserves. We've reduced our operating hours at libraries and rec centers. We cut arts funding and proposed eliminating 354 budgeted positions across city departments. It was a snapshot in time, of course, using the best information we had available. A month later, we have now updated our revenue projections and have received federal and state funding to help in the fight of COVID-19. This budget update that we are releasing today makes additional reductions with a focused restoration, actually, of some certain services. Childcare, housing, and employment are critical needs right now, and they are front and center in the budget update that I'm releasing. Among the biggest changes from the initial budget plan I released last month are keeping operating hours at every rec center to 60 hours per week, reopening community pools on July 1 if we are allowed to do so due to public health mandates, additional code enforcement officers to bolster public safety. We're also prioritizing nearly $270 million in federal and state funding that the city received to cover pandemic-related costs. Some of these highlights include $189 million for COVID-19 related to operational expenses, including personnel costs, supplies, and other expenses, most of which covers public safety. $50 million to safely house homeless individuals at the San Diego Convention Center, and $13 million for our small business relief fund, and $5 million for childcare and essential workers. I want to thank the City Council for its unanimous vote today on the childcare initiative. And coupled with the county's $5 million commitment, that makes $10 million that's now available across the region for childcare. I know this program is really going to come and provide that peace of mind to so many essential workers and workers all over who are juggling their job and family responsibilities right now during this time of crisis. We need to stay vigilant and use the limited resources that we have in the right way. That's why I've also made the decision to restore $54 million in the city's emergency reserves. This is the responsible thing to do, because the road to recovery is not going to be just over the next several months. The road will be very long. My plan makes reserves intact, leaves the reserves intact, so our elected leaders of tomorrow can benefit from responsible financial decisions that we are making today. We don't, of course, know exactly what the future holds, but it is very important to me and to our city to make sure that our reserves remain healthy so we can help avoid deeper cuts in the future. And this budget really is all about investing in the future. It's about prioritizing what matters to San Diegans. So when I released my budget goal last month, I said I had two goals. One, to look out for our 1.4 million residents, and to look out for our 11,000 city employees. The city is the region's 7th largest employer. We're larger than Qualcomm. We proudly employ thousands. And I take that very, very seriously, especially at a time when so many San Diegans are out of work. Our city employees are in this just like all of us. So just like every family right now, we will have to make difficult choices at the city of San Diego. But like every family, we're going to do that with care. All of us, our city employees and our city residents, are going to get through this together. I'd like to thank our Chief Financial Officer, Rolando Charvel, and Matt Vespi from the Department of Finance for putting this plan together. They're the numbers people, but they know these numbers translate into real services that so many San Diegans rely on every day. So it's my pleasure to introduce Finance Director Matt Vespi. I think many of you met when we introduced the budget about a month ago, to walk through the details of the revised budget that we are presenting this afternoon. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon. As the Mayor mentioned, my name is Matt Vespi, Director of Finance for the City of San Diego, and I've got a few slides that I'm going to go through to explain where our current situation is. So for an overview of the city, we are maintaining our balanced budget that we had proposed in the original proposal at $1.6 billion. We continue to prioritize essential core services, including police, fire, and refuse collection. We've continued to closely analyze the economic impacts of COVID-19 and what that's meant to the city's services and finances. As a result of those analysis, what we are currently estimating the cumulative impact between fiscal year 20, our current fiscal year, and fiscal year 21 to exceed $350 million. This updated budget proposal utilizes COVID-19 federal and state relief funds that we've received. As the mayor mentioned, $50 million being allocated to Operation Home to Shelter, Small Business Relief Fund, and a Childcare voucher program. Again, as the mayor mentioned, and very important to us, is that we're maintaining our general fund and our pension reserves through this proposal, while maintaining current service levels for our neighborhood services, including pools, rec center hours, and code enforcement positions. So to provide a quick update on fiscal year 20, our current year, we have updated our revenue projections from what we had previously shared, and we currently are projecting a revenue decrease of $139.5 million. How do we mitigate that loss of revenue? We've put in place freezes on hiring, spending, and delaying our reserve contributions. We're using excess equity, which is cash above our reserve targets. We've also implemented some of our CIP cash management strategies. And then we are utilizing state and federal funds totaling $82.3 million. All of these actions cumulatively allow us to resolve our current fiscal year deficit of $139.5 million and, again, allow us to not use any of our general fund reserves. Moving on into some charts on our revenues, starting with TOT, our most impacted revenue. In this chart, the blue line represents our TOT projections prior to COVID-19, red line post-COVID-19. As you can see, for TOT, for 2020, our current year, we were projecting $254 million in TOT, and for 2021, we were projecting $271 million. Our current projections are 177 in the current year and 172 in 2021, sorry, representing a total cumulative loss of $176 million. For sales tax, a similar chart, blue line again, pre-COVID, we were projecting $300 million in the current fiscal year, 311 in receipts in fiscal year 21. Our current projections are down quite a bit again, $276 million in the current year, $274 million down in fiscal year 21, cumulative loss for the 2 years of $61 million. So some highlights on the May revision. So as I mentioned, we've got significant increase or decreases in sales tax and TOT, but we had some other revenue reductions as well, totaling $83.1 million. We've got adjustments to bring our service levels for park and rec centers back to 60 hours, bring back our pool hours, code enforcement positions, and the Beckworth Library, totaling about $5.6 million. We've got additional additions related to labor negotiations, new expenses as a result of responding to COVID-19 that are being budgeted, as well as a couple other additions to clean up from the proposed budget. We've got mitigation actions and additional budget reductions, including some cost savings around relocating the Veteran Village shelter, reducing the scope of the Smart Streetlight program, as well as another handful of adjustments throughout our operating departments. We're utilizing $146.1 million in state and federal funds in fiscal year 21, of which $50.5 million is going towards Operation Home to Shelter and Small Business Relief Funds. And with that, that concludes my slides, and I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for that snapshot, obviously, of our city budget. Will be forwarded to the City Council, released today. Again, there are some difficult decisions and reductions, but we're trying to do it in the right way by protecting all of our core city services. I look forward to the ongoing dialogue with my colleagues on the council. Next topic, Operation Shelter to Home. One of the main objectives, and we've put this in the budget, of course, is to keep everybody healthy, particularly those that are most vulnerable in our homeless population. Today, we took it a step further, thanks to a generous donation from Coastal Health USA that is helping us to do the proactive testing and all of the things that we're doing to keep, again, the convention center safe. This morning, the team from Coastal Health were on site to install new virus and bacteria mitigation techniques, including antimicrobial tape for doors, handles, and other high-touch areas in restrooms and entryways, UVC LED devices to decontaminate keys, cell phones, commonly held items in under 3 minutes, computer keyboards that are also antimicrobial and washable, disinfectant spray designed to kill bacteria and viruses in 30 seconds, and provide residual protection from between 12 and 24 hours. All of these products are EPA and FDA approved. We are proud to have our partners at Coastal Health supporting our efforts to protect this very vulnerable population. The latest numbers at the convention center, we have 1,231 folks in the shelter this morning. Approximately 450 of those were living on the streets just a few weeks ago. We've done 1,595 tests administered so far. 1,200 were clients, and 393 were staff and volunteers. We've had 4 positive tests, all asymptomatic, and that's less than 0.5% for the entire population at the shelter. We have 29 that are pending, indeterminate, or inconclusive at this time. Last topic, our continued efforts to highlight San Diego's stepping up. One of the ways that we've tried to keep everybody informed is through these daily briefings. We've shared efforts on small businesses, efforts on housing the homeless, reopen our neighborhood parks and our beaches, and uplifting stories of San Diegans that are really just helping their neighbors. Today marks our 50th weekday briefing, and I thought I would take just a second to recognize the small but mighty crew that really puts on this production every day to keep San Diegans in the know. It's our hardworking City TV team. They've been an absolute dream team. They have my sincere appreciation. They've overcome some technical challenges when we first started to allow others to participate remotely, from our guests to reporters to asking questions. They even created a separate phone line for a blind woman who didn't have the internet access, so she could call in and listen to the daily update. They go the extra mile every day to help keep the public informed. So our City TV crew, thank you. Thank you for stepping up so San Diegans can stay informed and stay safe. Big shout out, and I think you might have seen the picture there, to Alex, Shay, Jason, Candace, and Mike. Some of the folks you never see, but really put in a lot of time and effort, as I said, to help keep our city and region informed. Thank you for stepping up, guys, and making a difference. And now I'm happy to answer any questions from members of the media.
And today's first question comes from Anthony Pura with 10 News.
Hello, Anthony.
Hi, Mayor. So my question is, yesterday you tweeted that police and fire will not be cut first in San Diego. You were responding to remarks made by the governor about not getting more help from the federal government.
Yep.
So what areas of city staff or programs could first feel the cuts then if the budget dictates that that is necessary?
Anthony, that's right. And I've made it a real emphasis that we are protecting our first responders, our police department, fire, rescue, lifeguards. That's critically important. And you will see that reflected in this budget because that is essential city services. We are going to make some reductions in other areas. As I said, there's position reductions in numerous departments across the city. Some of those services that we're going to be cutting back, library hours and others. Difficult decisions. But yet, we don't have the revenue that we thought we would have several months ago. But we're going to make those decisions, as I said, protecting our key city services, particularly our frontline responders, who I am so incredibly proud of. But we are going to make some reductions in other areas.
And the next question comes from Andrew Bowen with KPBS.
Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Mayor. Thanks for taking my question. So I want to ask about your decision to not use any of the general fund reserves. Given that revenues are going to be down even further, why not dip into those reserves as some council members have seemed kind of pleased that you were going to do to offset some of the costs that are going to be really difficult for a lot of city residents to take?
Yeah, no, thank you, Andrew. And And as I tried to, I think, outline a little bit earlier, we are making some choices that are going to be difficult. But at the same time, I want to ensure that while we make some of these choices, that we're setting up our city for success, not just for the short term, but for the long term. And I think having those dollars in our reserves will allow the next administration that comes after me to have some of the flexibility in order to continue to make efforts that will need to happen. But I didn't want to kick the can down the road. I wanted to make sure that we addressed it head on. We did what I think is right in terms of protecting our core services, making some of these decisions now that, as I said, really puts us in the best possible spot for the future. Because it's all about the long term. It's all about getting through, protecting the core city services. We are going to make some reductions in other areas, but I really want to do it so we are doing the right thing now that gives us that best opportunity for success. Because nobody knows, of course, when we're going to come back to those revenue levels that we had just 3 months ago. I think that was our last question for the day. Again, thank you to all San Diegans for your continued compliance. Thank you to our city TV crew here today for all of your help and support and stepping up. And a final thank you. Very strong and positive vote today at the county that we've been working very hard to get our economy opened back up and to put San Diegans back to work. With that, thank you, and I look forward to tomorrow's briefing.